Hi there. So, you know how we haven't updated in like about 10 months? You may not remember this, but last time I said I was going to review the Wolverine, and then months and months went by and another X-Men movie came out. Sorry I haven't updated in 10 months or so, but in my defense, I have a webcomic that I also haven't updated in 10 months. And I had a job for a while. I guess I mostly made this video to, let you know that this channel is still a thing. I know I could probably just say I changed my mind and I'm reviewing something else, but I already wrote down the script a while ago, and I figured if I'm making a video, I might as well review something. I'm still collecting my thoughts for other possibilities, so I'm just gonna read the script that I have here, and that way I won't have to edit out the parts where I read the script on the monitor instead. I'm just gonna read this and make additions wherever I see fit. Please refrain from putting spoilers of Days of Future Past in the comments. I haven't seen it yet, and even if I had, it's just common courtesy. I wrote this a while ago, so it might be out of date. Now, just to clarify, I'm not reviewing X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm reviewing the Wolverine. There are two Wolverine spin-offs. In my experience, I liked the Wolverine movie on Facebook. Then they kept posting statuses, blah blah blah. Okay, here I just explained to you that I somehow managed to not know this movie existed until like a few days before it came out, because I watched Netflix and not TV, mostly. I was surprised to find that, unlike the first Wolverine movie, this one was not a prequel. Chronologically, it's actually happening after the third X-Men movie. We start off with a flashback to World War II, and watch as Wolverine saves a Japanese officer in a POW camp from the atomic bombing of Nagasaki. As you X-Men fans know, Wolverine has healing abilities that prevent him from aging, so he's been around for a long time. We then cut to present to find that after the events of X-Men 3, Logan has become a vagabond, who, although he is in denial of this part of his identity, still seeks justice. Spoiler alert. He is also haunted by the death of Jean Grey. In fact, haunted is an understatement. He is devastated. Unspoiler alert. The adventure begins when he is found by Yukio, a Japanese mutant with the ability to foresee people's deaths. She was sent to find him so that he could come to Japan and say goodbye to a dying Yashida, the man he supposedly saved from the bombing, and now, the CEO of a technology corporation. Once there, he meets his granddaughter, Mariko, who becomes more relevant later. Things get really interesting though when the real reason Logan was brought to Japan is revealed. Yashida tells Logan that he may have the technology to take away Logan's healing abilities and transfer them to himself. Yashida wants to keep on living, and he knows Logan, growing tired of his long life full of pain and loss, wants to die. For the sake of avoiding spoilers, I'll stop being so specific. I'll just say that we are soon presented with a situation where Wolverine must protect Mariko from the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia, and that he must do so with the apparent repression of his healing abilities, courtesy of none other than Viper. I don't actually know anything about Viper, except that I saw her in Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Probably never even heard of it. The plot of this movie is surprisingly intricate. I was really bored when I wrote this. Honestly, I already feel like I've given away too many spoilers. There are a lot of characters, with different motivations, varying amounts of involvement with the plot, and it's more complicated than, this is the main character, this is the lead female, this is the villain. Fight! Maybe it's not super complicated, but it's definitely more complicated than the average superhero movie. It wasn't perfect though. There are a few mildly confusing elements, and sometimes I got certain characters mixed up. Mostly because a lot of them were referred to off-screen. The writing was also a strong point. Sometimes I felt like it bordered on being too serious and overdramatic, but whenever this concern came up, someone, usually Wolverine, would say something very direct, self-aware, and blunt. Sometimes perhaps a bit too blunt. All in all though, while it wasn't the bundle of laughs you'd expect from Thor, Iron Man, or one of the other movies associated with the Avengers, there was a healthy amount of humor that served to balance out the serious nature of the dialogue. A good plot is nothing without good writing, and in this case, the two complemented each other very well. I've already talked about the characters, but I'll talk some more to continue with my vague outline. As expected, Hugh Jackman has reprised his role. We also have Rila Fukushima as Yukio, Tao Okamoto as Mariko, and Hiroyuki Sanada as Yashida. In fact, with some obvious exceptions such as Hugh Jackman and Svetlana Khodchenkova, who plays Viper, the majority of the cast is Asian. While this movie's portrayal of Japan is a little bit stereotypical, ultimately the actors all bring emotions and motivations to the table that are ultimately unique to their characters, even if most of those characters happen to be highly skilled in martial arts. Yukio, for example, initially appearing tough and unfeeling, is ultimately humanized by her mutant ability. Her ability to foresee people's deaths leaves her haunted, and dissatisfied with her inability to do anything about it. Hugh Jackman is definitely the star of this film, and most of the focus is on his character, but meanwhile they do develop other characters unique to this movie. But all that being said, Wolverine is the central character. His inability to die is a constant theme throughout the movie, and has a surprising amount of darkness to the mix. And yet, at the same time, seeing him without his healing abilities is unsettling too. And watching this hero lose one of his most useful abilities is upsetting, engaging, and perhaps even a little bit suspenseful for those of us who have gotten used to this character over the past 5 movies. The visuals for this movie were well done. They definitely gave me a good feel for the Japanese setting, from the more modern urban elements to the more traditional elements. There were a few off moments though, particularly a scene where Logan is in the bathroom attending to one of his wounds. It looked like this part was filmed on a video camera, though this scene mostly seemed off when I saw it in theaters. On DVD I didn't really notice anything strange. Maybe it's just me. But while there were some off moments, overall this movie did little to break the standards of modern filming. The special effects weren't really as good as they could have been. Special effects don't really bother me unless they're really, really bad. And this was not the case with Wolverine. There was often a very clear distinction between what was real and what was computer animated. This is especially true towards the movie's climax, but the special effects weren't bad enough to be distracting. I guess it was more when they chose to use CGI and when they chose not to seemed a little inconsistent. The sounds and the music of this movie were just kind of forgettable. It all had the right emotions, but that's basically it. It was kind of depressing, but not necessarily good. Just depressing. Overall, the movie did leave me feeling a little bit empty, but a certain mid-credits scene that I won't be specific about to avoid spoilers really made me feel better about the whole thing. The scene I am referring to provides build-up for a film called X-Men: Days of Future Past, a movie that was produced, released, and viewed by millions of people. I don't know what it is, there's just something about this movie that seems off to me. I don't think I liked this movie as much as it deserved, but I still liked it, so it gets a 7 out of 10. It is becoming increasingly apparent that unlike many of Marvel's other films, the X-Men series may be geared towards a more mature audience. Wolverine is no exception. Beware of violence, suggestive content, and surprisingly strong language. All that aside, X-Men movies in general just seem okay to me. There are no extremes with the X-Men series, I just like watching this continuity of mutants. Wolverine takes a different approach to all this, but it's still kind of the same result, and that's okay. Maybe I'm being kind of vague. But anyway, that's Wolverine. Subscribe, comment, and keep checking back for more movie reviews. Or, if you want cartoon reviews and or game reviews, check out Matey's and or Josh's reviews. See ya!